Good day to you all. So today I'd like to focus on writing introductions. Throughout this video, I may ask you to stop and reflect on what you hear. The easiest way to do it is to pause the video. If you don't feel like doing that, feel free to just listen in. So, first of all, we'll make clear on the purpose of an introduction. Why should we write it? Then we'll look at the structure of an introduction and the aspects that should be included. And after that, I'll go through some tips and tricks and talk a little bit about the use of tenses and how the choice of a verb tense might add a meaning that you might not necessarily want to convey. But first things first, pause the video and ponder the following question. Why is the introduction important? The introduction is crucial because it's like love at first sight. It's the very first encounter that a reader has with your paper. It's the first thing that they see beside the title, the abstract, and the keywords. So the introduction sets the tone for your paper, and it shows your attitude towards the issue. It also establishes the foundation, and it tells the reader what you want them to know. Basically, it provides context to the readers, and it shows them the gap your paper is attempting to fill. Even though the introduction introduces the reader to your research and goes first in the article, in practice you might find that it is easier to write it after you've written the report section of your research. But that goes beyond the scope of this video. Now, having established the importance of the introduction, let's talk a little bit about its structure. Pause the video and think. I think that you've nailed it down easily. In an introduction, we focus on the research gap. We strive to convey the importance of our topic. So we go back far enough just to say, okay, that's what has been done. And here is my gap. This is the research that does not exist yet. In an introduction, we generally mention the research which provides the context our reader needs to know to understand that there is a research gap to investigate. And that means that you should include only the most significant research in your introduction. And now it's time you drew the attention of your reader to your own research. Quickly, gently, teasingly. You've mentioned the importance of the research, and now you need to mention the rationale, the purpose, and the hypothesis. However, don't spill the beans by talking about your methods and the results yet. Do not include data from your research, and do not include your specific techniques. Your introduction is not the place to give it all away. In a few moments, you will see the text. Please pause the video, take your time and read it. Decide what the different parts of this introduction are doing. And here are some tips for you. So feel free to go back and forth. Don't skip this part, because if you can match each sentence with its function in the introductions of other researchers and basically trace the shape of each brick they used to build it, you're more likely to use the same bricks to build your own introduction and make it strong. So pause the video and think. And here is the answer. The first sentence gets into the topic. At the same time, it catches the attention of the reader, as body image is something people tend to find quite engaging. At the same time, it is not so broad that it is off topic. It's a hook. The second sentence shows the body of evidence that exists. It's a very general statement. The third one shows the research that already exists. It's there and it's stated. And then, with the help of the fourth sentence, the author shifts the attention to the research gap. Sentence number 5 states the aim of the paper. Sentence number 6 states what was done during the research. And the last sentence brings out the hypothesis of the research. Now let's quickly talk about the use of tenses. You will see the introduction again. Please pause the video and take your time to ponder on the use of tenses. Think about the rationale behind the choice. In many cases, the use of both the past and the present perfect might easily be justified. But as you are reporting your research and you want it to be cutting edge, it might be better to opt for the use of the present perfect, because it shows the connection to now. If you use the past tense, grammatically nothing will change. It will still be correct. However, it will make a world of difference to the meaning. If we establish the gap with the past tense, we say that that particular research didn't look into it. But it doesn't mean that everybody hasn't paid attention to it, and you should be the one. The use of the present perfect, however, shows that from the past, when that study happened, until now, no one has looked at it, and that's why this particular study is unique. Sometimes tenses seem like a small thing. Both versions are correct, but the message that they convey is different. But let's go back to the original introduction. To highlight the purpose of the paper, instead of using the past tense, this paper set out to, the author switches to the present. This paper sets out to engage the reader into what's going on here and now in the article. You might wish to do the same in your introduction. The last two sentences should preferably be in the past, because they state what was actually done for this research. It is important not to make it sound that your research is still ongoing. So, to show that the investigation is over, use the past tense. These things might seem clear, but if you take a closer look at an array of introductions, you will be surprised to find that the tenses can really be all over the place. And now some general tips, which actually boil down to capturing and holding your reader's attention, making sure that all of you are on the same page, and that the grammatical constructions you use do not introduce any hidden meanings. Bill Watterson once said, "The purpose of writing is to inflate weak ideas, obscure pure reasoning, and inhibit clarity. With a little practice, writing can be an intimidating and impenetrable fog." To make sure that your reader doesn't get lost in the fog and follow you closely, be concise. Don't be wordy. Get to the point. People lose interest whenever you use a lot of words. Also, revise any over-long sentences. If there are sentences that go on for 3 lines, you might want to reduce those a bit. Moreover, to show that there are active participants of the research, use active voice. It is more interesting to read active voice rather than trudge through baffling constructions of passive voice. However, don't make your introduction too personal. Avoid overusing personal pronouns in the very first part. You might need to use them in the hypothesis and rationale, so you don't want to use them too much throughout. Last but not least, organize your ideas from broad to specific. In a nutshell, keep it simple.